Hey folks, KILT-MAN here. KILT-MAN at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, I've been having a bit of a World War II renaissance of late. I don't know why. Just watching the films and having a great old time of it. Very nostalgic. And you might see the fruits of me watching some of those films when I start doing some reviews of said films on the channel. But last night, going along with all this, I bumped into Howie in the pub. Howie is an ex-para. You're never an ex-para. Once a para, always a para. And with Howie, don't you know it? Got his foot in the door like it's 1944. And he's given me some stuff over the years, some paraphernalia, you could say. And one particular item, he was saying, "You're not wearing them. What happened to them? Why aren't you doing a video on them? Why aren't you wearing them?" The gloves. The gloves. And I'm going to do it right now. Now, they are unusual. They are rare. They're not what he told me they were, but we know that. I'll explain. These, folks, he gave me about 18 months ago, maybe a bit longer. Gloves. Yes. Pale off-white gloves. And he said to me, these are really, really rare. Doesn't look a day of 86, you know. And he's only 63. Dropped on his head all the time. He used to jump out the plane upside down. Pile driver, they called him. But he said to me, these are very, very rare British paratrooper gloves. And I thought, well, British paratroopers only wore leather gloves or gauntlets. That was, anything that was issued at the time. There was no designated glove for British paras. And even to like modern day, they just wear modern cold weather combat gloves. American airborne forces had designated gloves, sort of the tan gauntlets with a little strap around the wrist, and they are fabulous, made out of horse hide. But these gloves, I know what they are, and they are genuine. They're not repros, they are genuine. We have the marks inside, telling you what they are. Sweat resistance, the size 8/2, that means 8.5, by the way. And we have the British broad arrow from the Ministry of Defence, State of Defence. The state of our defence is deplorable these days, I tell you. But so that designates that they were officially, made for the military forces. Both gloves have it all stamped inside. There's the other one. Same reference number, stock number. And what they are, folks, are aircrew and pilot gloves. And these would be worn underneath the big gauntlets in the 1940s, 50s and 60s, the big flying gloves. And the reason why you wore these underneath, an extra layer of protection for one thing, because leather, and it's great, it's not horsehide, but it's chamois leather. Chamois leather is what makes these. And Americans get horsehide for rodeo, and we get chamois, so you can clean the windows as well. But leather is flash fire resistant. You get a sudden burnout, it will give you extra time to protect your hands. Big leather gauntlets on and these underneath, extra protection. Also, it's very cold up there, it's very cold up in the heavens. And especially during World War II when there's bullet holes in these flying crates. Very drafty, I've obviously incurred the wrath of the parachute gods who've unleashed hell upon me now. The deluge is besieging the Kilt Mansion. But so you wear these underneath, keep your hands warm, but also they're surprisingly dexterous. I'm going to put these on and I'm going to show you what I mean. I don't know how I'm going to exemplify that, but obviously in a plane you need to be pushing levers, pushing buttons, doing stuff, so you need to be able to grip. So there they are. It's like, I'm a curator in some museum, some old artifact comes out, you've got to put the gloves on, or I'm a forensic scientist. But they're very comfortable, they're very durable, and yet, I'm doing a lot of finger wiggling about because you can obviously manipulate things, you can do stuff. So Harvey says that these were very, very rare paratrooper gloves, and they were given to him and he used them. And well, I don't doubt that for a second. But as I said, British paratroopers have never been issued a designated glove for drops, like drop gloves, like the Americans had. They will wear any other glove going, and the reason being, keep your hands warm, and also, you know, you've got to be able to manipulate, undo your harness and all that, hold on to your risers and all this as you're coming down, and get your gun ready and everything. So you need to be able to be, you know, manipulative. So you look at old photos of paras on a bridge too far, and I'm playing John Harrison's score for it right now. A bridge too far. You'd see them wearing, well, most shots they're not wearing gloves at all, but there are some images of paras coming down and unbuckling all their kit and all that, and they are wearing gloves, but they're not these. I hasten to add. So they are a great bit of kit, and I do get that he probably wore them because they'd be great for holding onto your risers, holding onto your kit, unbuckling, you know, your harness and all that. And of course, back in the day, they had the GQ X-type parachute, only one, no reserve parachute. Why? Were they pure land fodder? No. That X-type parachute was so reliable, they didn't believe there was a need for a reserve parachute. And it's static lives, you just, out you go, that was it. And Jerry was like that. Come to Papa. But they are really, really nice. And he keeps saying to me, why are you wearing them gloves? I thought, I'm not going to walk out the house wearing these, am I? I like be directing traffic, you know, doing all this sort of stuff. You know. But they are nice. I suppose I could find a way of wearing them. I mean, I've got an old US cavalry tunic, and they do look a bit like cavalry gloves, gauntlets from the late 1870s sort of thing. You know, might get away with that. But I was joking, saying they're parade gloves, they're ceremonial gloves, which of course they're not. Parade gloves, they're made out of cotton, and this is a lovely, supple chamois leather. I mean, it's not as durable as, say, the horsehide would be, which is a bit thicker, and it's, you know, it's certainly more robust and a hell of a lot warmer. You don't need to wear those gloves. These are like inner gloves to wear underneath gauntlets or thicker gloves. Extra layer of protection, as I said. But they are, yeah, I don't know. They are unusual. I'll show you the stuff inside again, because you do get reproductions of these, and they made these things, well, cockpit and aircrew gloves, exactly the same as these, into the 60s, 70s, into the 80s as well. And the British broad arrow was used up until the 80s as well. So that designated mark there, the British arrow, the broad arrow, you'd still see that on some kit in the 80s. It got phased out from that point. It was already on the way out from the 70s, but it still was there. And when you see like the more modern variants of these, or reproductions, they've got batch numbers and all sorts of more, you know, numbers and serial markings. There's loads of stuff. That's very, very basic what you've got there. The actual serial number is on another part of the glove as well. It's somewhere, it's up here. I don't know if you can see that. It's there and there on both gloves. And you have the little pinch suture on the wrist there, where it's pinched in. You can see that there. They are amazingly comfortable. But as I say, no British paratrooper, the paras were not issued with designated specific drop gloves. That didn't happen. But they could get any other glove they wanted. Any other thick, proper glove to keep the hands protected, keep the hands warm, and use them. But these are genuine British aircrew and pilots, which would be issued with these. I feel like, can you say this nowadays? The black and white minstrel show, mammy, and all that, like. They are lovely. So, in honour of Howie, I'm gloved, sir. Yeah, a lot of the markings. There's German gloves as well, which are very similar, but they wouldn't have the British arrow on it, obviously. Nazi insignia. Nasty Nazis they were. But very, very similar sort of thing, because obviously, you know, once you're up in the air, they kind of realise, gotta keep your hands warm, but you're still gonna be able to push that button and pull that lever and steer that way and operate the guns and all this. So, yeah. There's not much else I can say about a pair of gloves, to be perfectly honest with you. I do wear gloves every time I leave the house. Every time I leave the house. And you know what they are, because you've seen them before. I wear fingerless leather gloves. Like little biker gloves they are, really. Like these. Well, not like these. It is these. And I've worn this sort of thing for donkey's years. They were great for dog walking gloves, because we've always had big dogs, German Shepherds, and then obviously Roxy the Wonder Dog, who was a great big husky. So for me, holding the lead, which I'd let her off the lead anyway, but I used to wear these. They're great to grip the lead and all that, and it looked a bit tougher, you know, you've got me gloves. And people used to go like, are they your burgling gloves? What use would they be? Be leaving fingerprints everywhere, wouldn't I? So, no, they weren't. But, so I wear gloves all the time. So this is why Howie probably says, why aren't you wearing them gloves? What about them gloves I gave you? Well, there you go. And in fact, in his honour, I'm going to put them on later and I'm going to put wearing them. And I'll probably wear that t-shirt as well. In his honour. There you go, Howie. I can't say fairer than that. I might even drop through the roof. Yeah. I've got lots of gloves though, to be honest. But they are all sort of sleeveless. Sleeveless gloves. Well, that's a glove for you. Otherwise, it's a sleeve, isn't it? But fingerless gloves. I've even got some where I try to make them look like Jonathan Eves from Rollerball. So they're black leather gloves, but I've put studs all over them, like the Rollerball players had. Only they wore big, full-fingered gloves as well, like. But they still look pretty cool. Anyway, gloves. There you go. There's a good talking point for you. Gloves. Who needs them? Why do you need bloody gloves? There you go. It's a piece of history, without a doubt. As I say, they're not reproductions. They're sweat resistant. The reason being, it wicks away the moisture inside. So you don't want to be all clammy handed, do you? But, yeah. You must have seen me coming. Oh, here's that KILT-MAN, yeah. Oh, he takes any old shit, doesn't he? Yeah, and he make up a story. General Custer wore these. Go on, have them. Ooh, did they? KILT-MAN's fallen for it again. I mean, what they are not medical gloves. So he's not been bend over and inserting. I think maybe a bit more stainage on them if that was the case. But they don't get dirty, these things. Like shiny leather and this pale colour. You might get a few marks on them, but you know, you could dig up the land and all that. You can dig up potatoes and turnips and bury Nazis with your bare hands, having disemboweled them first, and it just wipes clean. That's another beauty of these things. So, folks, I'm trying to think of something else to say about a pair of pale, unlined aviator gloves. I can't think of anything at all. There you go. Howie, got to hand it to you, mate. So folks, I have been and always shall be KILT-MAN, so please, in the meantime, as ever, put it in a glove in between time. Please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all later. And there is a big World War II movie review coming your way at the speed of a Sherman tank. Dunno! Oh, it's like Clue there, maybe?